Top 5 things to help you when you're buying a used or vintage guitar at your favorite pawn shop or your favorite social media site or your favorite, Facebook marketplace.
Craigslist.
We've all done it. We've all maybe gotten that winner, but we've all certainly gotten some lemons along the way. So this is for those folks out there. Like, you're doing the scroll, you found it, you're driving up there, you're gonna pick it up, grab it, meet it in a parking lot, you go maybe. Be careful. You go to your pawn shop. Stay tuned for the end of this video. When we get to round number 5, we're going to talk about one of those examples that happened like yesterday. But here we go. Johnny, take us on number 1. Let's get to it.
Not checking out the good old neck.
What's important about the neck?
Well, I mean, you hear people talk all the time about, oh, my neck is warped or it's twisted. And there's not a ton you can do sometimes. Now, I don't think that's quite as common as some people make it out to be.
It's 100% not.
But you do want to look for that, but you also want to look for things like the fret condition.
Yes.
Because if you buy a new guitar and you get a great deal, but then you got to refret it immediately, maybe not as good a deal.
No.
Things like that you need to check out and look at, because if there's problems, that's one of the first places there could be major problems.
Okay, yeah. So, and the neck is your first and primary point of contact with the guitar too. Just feel it, see if you like it, see if you like the shape of it. But again, like if there's major issues, that's something people ignore.
Yeah.
Pretty frequently, because you're blinded. You're blinded by So a pro tip on there: bring a capo. Check for tuning issues. You can check for dead spots in the frets if you need to as you're playing it. A lot of this can be fixed with the setup, but just check it first and foremost. Check all the angles of it.
Yeah, I mean, be able to look down the neck and see what the frets look like, how if they're level, if there's a lot of relief, if it's bent, if there's problems and you're like, oh, this might be adjustable, this might be a little bit of a pain to do, but make sure the truss rod works.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's worth it if you have any questions and you don't.
Then we'll get into the truss rod again at number 5, so you have to stay tuned for that too. There's some other issues with that. 5 has got all sorts of fun stuff in it, but and don't be clouded by a fun hey man, this was played by Warren Zevon, played this on Werewolves of London or something. It doesn't matter, and there's no that and you usually can't prove that. Taking the seller's word at face value. So it's all original.
Sure it is.
That's something that's said a lot.
Except for
everything on it. Now, we've had a lot of guitars come in the shop, and we get this pitch all the time. It's all original. I'm like, well, this neck didn't come with this guitar body, but besides that, it seems pretty close. It's
the neck or the pick guard or the ridge has been swapped out or the tuners.
The tuners are the most common. And sometimes people have upgraded it with things, and that doesn't always help the value. I know it stinks, it drives us all nuts, but you might put in $300 set of pickups. It doesn't always make the guitar worth more. It's like renovating your kitchen. It's not the value of what you put into it. Probably about half.
Yeah. And if it's a real, if you're really looking at a vintage piece, maybe not your random used classic Bob Squire, but if you're actually looking at a vintage piece, take a few minutes to look up and see what are the date codes and the stamps on the pots and things.
The back
so
of the
that
neck.
when you look at them, you know what they're kind of supposed to look like. It's pretty easy to do a Google search of those things at this point.
And now with AI, it's even easier.
It's even easier.
It's kind of strange. So you can use that as your tool. It's now what we sometimes do with this too is, let's just say when we're checking things, is we have a black light.
Yep.
We can check to see if there's been refins or if there's been repairs. You can find all sorts of magic marker sort of points, which is paint, refair, finish jobs that have been done to fix cracks, in particular in Gibsons. So it's just something to check. Okay, let's go on to number 3. This one's maybe the most important in some ways.
Skipping the old play tests. Not touching the guitar, not putting your hands on it before. If it's possible, you want to plug it in and you want to play it. You want to hear it.
Tuning stability, neck alignment, just general comfort with playing the guitar. You're going to feel it. You're going to know it pretty quickly upon this if it's the guitar for you. Sometimes you just I can play guitar and I can pretty much tell I'm not going to like it.
I mean, little things, right? It might feel great and then you plug it in and then there's no grounding. You know what I mean? Like that happens a lot on old guitars. There's all sorts of stuff like that. There might be a lot of dead spots that you can hear with it plugged in. All the pots might be scratchy. None of these might be deal breakers.
No, we still buy guitar. We buy amps. Bought amps that don't have plugs.
Sure.
Because we know we'll fix it.
But you just want to know, and you want to know how that affects the deal for you and the value. Are you still getting a good deal knowing you have to put some of those things into it?
So within the play test, what's neat too is I would recommend is bringing like a Spark Mini or something with you. If you're buying this in a parking lot or buying it at someone's house and they don't have amplifiers, bring a little amplifier with you. You can plug it in. You sort of get a feel for like if it actually just works.
Yeah.
Again, like we've talked about some, like you can, even if it's not set up perfectly, that's easy to remedy. Right. Don't let that be a stopper when you're buying it. Now let's get into an important one, number 4, ignoring
the old hidden repair costs.
This can run you up a gambit really quickly.
Yep.
If you got a cracked headstock, bad frets, the neck's out of whack, the truss rod's not working right, the pickups don't work at all. You said ground wiring, that's a pretty easy fix. If you got a soldering gun and you can do it yourself, but if not, you got to take all this to a tech, and then you're starting at like, let's be realistic, you're starting at probably $75.
Well, if you start
teching.
If you got a deal and you start doing this and you have to take it to someone because you're not doing it yourself, then you are quickly evaporating any savings you might have.
Well, you have to look at your $600 guitar that you got for a deal. Now it's $450 in repairs.
Right.
So now you're over $1,000 for your piece, and that's just part of what you got to factor into when you're buying these. We do this all the time. We will buy pieces knowing it will need repairs, or it might need like serious binding issues on like old Martins and old Taylors. It might need a refin in some respect if it's been like stripped out. We know that. We build that into what we can offer. And remember, this is something we have to, the asking prices on Reverb and eBay are not the real prices. It's something.
Gotta find what they actually sold for.
And you can get that through those sources too.
Yep.
But you just don't, I see a bunch, they're asking, like, we had a gentleman call the other day, wanted to sell us an old Gibson of his, and I asked him, like, how much would you like for it? I gotta have at least 4. I'm like, well, sir, they're not even selling for that.
Right.
So I can't even get close to that. We have to resell it at a profit. And that's the deal. Now, the smell thing's something funny too before we move on to 5 in our finale. You gotta be careful. If the smell is horrible, it's a tough one. It's gonna have that smell for a long time. You can't get rid of it. There's ways to do it. There's like the baking soda, there's a little bit of vanilla, there's like leaving it in the sun. The cases in particular, if you have an old Gibson case, that mildews radically, and you just gotta leave it out in the sun, baking soda it, and then just don't keep your guitar in that case anymore.
Man, it's even doing all that stuff, it lingers.
It does linger. But my 65 Hummingbird that's sitting behind us, that used to smell like dead people and mildew mixed. It was horrible. Like you'd play a chord and like this vibration would make the scent come out. It's great now, but it only took 8 years of living with it and cleaning it. Okay, let's get to the finale. Number 5. This is getting blinded by the brand or getting blinded by the deal. This is where you can get really hurt.
Sure.
So first off, just because it says Fender, Gibson, PRS, Taylor, Martin, any of the brands that you're obsessed with, be careful. It doesn't always mean it's all it's cracked up to be. We went through a lot of reasons, right? But also sometimes you gotta check the resale. Just because it says Fender or Fender Custom Shop even, some Fender Custom Shops don't sell for that much.
Right.
There's a certain period of them that's just like, people don't want them right now. That like some of the 90s stuff. And then it goes up and down. You just got to be careful with that. Gibson as well. But here's what I really want to get into: forgeries.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of fakes out there right now. And we just had one in the shop the other day that someone had bought or sold to one of our local favorite pawn shops. Wonderful place, and they got it, and they sold it to someone else, and then. But the pawn shop's so great about it because they're like, hey man, if this is fake, we're gonna give this guy's money back all the way, and that's awesome. It's not like the pawn shops you see in the TV shows.
Right.
What do you think? Except for Hardcore Pawn, which is awesome. And Derek and I've been there, and that dude is dope, and he's cool, and the whole team up there is amazing. If you're in Detroit, go see it. He's the man. Derek has a signed book. It's legit.
There you go.
No, so this guitar looked beautiful. Looked like a $7,000, sort of Gibson custom shop deal. There's lots of telltales that were not quite right. The truss rod thing is the huge one. Once you looked at that, it's not the right truss rod adjuster. Once you pop that off,
yep,
it's a different type of wrench that would operate it. The Some of the plastics just didn't seem quite right. And then there's the serial number. You gotta be able to check that serial number. And if you find that said guitar has multiple copies with the same serial number out there, it's fake.
Right.
Yeah, it's a fake. You know, that's sort of the, you know.
I mean, it's all, you know, Gibson hasn't made that easier all the years that they use the same serial numbers. But yeah, all that stuff put together. And there's just, if you've seen a bunch of real Gibsons and most of the fakes, you see them, you just get this kind of gut feeling. You're like, eh.
But let's even get into the real Gibsons. Like sometimes a real Gibson gets smoked by like some of the lawsuit era pieces.
True.
You know, it just depends on the year of that Gibson. There's some great like funny guitars out there that just kick butt and that are awesome, and that you can find a killer deal with. It's a fun deal. So buying used or buying vintage can be a dream process.
Yes.
It can be truly fun. That's the whole point of this video, is to help just give you some basic pointers on things to check. But it can also turn into a nightmare really quickly. And a lot of times people aren't as kind. Once you buy it, it's yours. You're stuck with it. You know, we've seen this happen more often than I'd like to say not. But fortunately, if you're shopping with like people you trust, like, you know, if you buy from a reputable store, if something's wrong with it, they're going to find it out before.
That's right.
And they don't even have it usually. But if something did, like something got through the cracks.
And they're going to, you know, most of the time they're going to find it out. They're going to disclose it. It's going to be there. And that's like if you get it off Reverb, like just, you know, random folks from Marketplace. A lot of times the policy is, that's it. It's your thing. There's no refunds. There's no returns.
Yes.
Unless it's like broken in shipping or something. So, you know, maybe trusted sources is the way to go.
Avoid these 5 mistakes if you can. And if you have more that you can sort of share in the comments below with all of our future buyers out there, please do. Like make this an interactive lexicon of how to not get taken, how to get a great experience, have a good time, and get a great guitar at the end of the day. I think that's all I got.
That's about it.
What do you got? Anything else?
That's all.
I think we can go. We can rock and roll now. Click like, subscribe.
Hit the bell.
Have fun out there. Go watch Mr. In Between if you haven't seen it yet. It's a great Australian show that I've power watched through a season and a half in a matter of 2 days. Short episodes. If you like Sons of Anarchy, The Sopranos, Peaky Blinders, all that type of stuff, this is sort of a nice lighthearted version of that with some good old-fashioned Australian murder attached to it as well.
Very nice.
Great actor, by the way. And beautiful female lead as well. Peace be with you.